Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today Umair is going to be going through different economic concepts like inflation and interest rates in the following exam questions.
The next question asks us to draw a demand and supply diagram showing the effect of a subsidy. First of all, it's worth going over what a subsidy actually is. So a subsidy is a grant from the government given to businesses or firms in order to enhance production. So what effect will a subsidy have on a market? Well, for one, a subsidy aims to increase the production of a good or service and decrease the price to make it more affordable. So we can set up our supply and demand diagram. So here we have a supply and here we have the demand. So first we're going to do the equilibrium position, the original equilibrium position, and label this as S for supply and this as D for demand. The y-axis is going to be price and the x-axis is going to be quantity. So here, this is Q1 and this is P1. So a subsidy would essentially increase supply, meaning that supply shifts to the right. So this is our new supply curve, and we can label it S2. And just make this clear that we've moved the supply curve to the right. Now we have to do our new equilibriums. As follows. So here we can see that quantity has increased from Q1 to Q2 and price has decreased from P1 to P2. And there we go. That is how you draw the effect of a subsidy on a supply and demand diagram. The next question asks us to discuss the impact of inflation on fixed income households. Well, first of all, what is inflation? Inflation just refers to an increase in the average price of goods and services. Now, what effect would this have on a fixed income household? Well, a fixed income household is one where wages are constant. So as inflation goes up, wages aren't going up with it. So the effect that this would have is that there is reduced purchasing power for the fixed income household as the price of goods and services is increasing, but the wages aren't. The next question asks us, why might a rise in interest rates not reduce inflation? So the idea is that a rise in interest rates would reduce inflation. Why? It's because a rise in interest rates makes the cost of borrowing more expensive, which decentivizes consumers and firms from taking out loans or overdrafts or whatever to consume or to invest. So AD is reduced and therefore inflation is also reduced. That is the theory of it. However, that might not always be the case. Why so? Well, one of the reasons is because of magnitude. Now, what does this mean? This just means that it depends on the magnitude of the interest rate change. If the interest rates change from 4.5% to 4.55% in a 0.05% increase, then taking out loans and stuff, all those habits might not have a huge effect like we expect it to. So if interest rates change from 4.5% to 4.55%, things may stay constant as consumers plus firms will still take out loans. Now, another issue of why a rise in interest rates might not reduce inflation is because we have to consider the source of inflation. Inflation has two sources. It could be cost push or it could be demand pull. And if it's cost push, then a rise in interest rates isn't likely to reduce inflation because the source of inflation is different. So inflation is not always demand pull. So cannot be always resolved through demand side policies. Strictly speaking, there's much more to this process. However, the fact that I've used a 0.05% change in interest rates may not have a significant effect on the inflation rate. The next question asks us, how can consumer confidence affect aggregate demand? Well, a high consumer confidence leads to an increase in AD, or aggregate demand. So, high consumer confidence equals increase in AD. Now, why is this the case? Well, a high consumer confidence could increase the marginal propensity to consume, basically meaning that the likelihood of consumers engaging in consumption is higher. And what this would do is it would eventually increase consumption as a result. And why would this increase AD? Well, this is because the formula for AD equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M, where C is equal to consumption. So if C increases, then so does AD. Now, if we flip this round, then we'd say that low consumer confidence equals fall in AD. Why? It's because we just reverse it. So if consumer confidence falls, consumers are less likely to spend. And if they're less likely to spend, then consumption will decrease as a result. And as we previously mentioned, AD equals C plus I plus G plus x minus m. So if consumption falls, then so does AD.
Thank you guys for watching this economics video. We hope you found it useful. Please leave a comment letting us know what content you want us to cover in the future.